Not to boast, but I've been eating food my whole life, and I decided to make a video going over all the types of food in the world I can think of with a short description. If your country isn't mentioned, don't be upset. You probably should have invented sushi or pizza. French. Interestingly, although their restaurants are highly acclaimed, it's a well-known fact that French people actually don't eat anything, living solely on tiny cups of espresso and a sense of superiority. You can tell you're eating French food when you really can't enjoy the meal because your brain is always calculating whether it was worth the money. Japanese. I love Japanese cuisine, and honestly I think sushi in particular is the perfect date food. Light, delicious, and I can demonstrate my high-quality hunter-gatherer genes through adroit chopstick handling and being able to swallow an entire nigiri with zero gag reflex. Another excellent Japanese food is ramen, which is the ultimate min-max dish. It could be 2 days of cooking chicken, pork, and fish in perfect balance and temperature, 3 days making a cured egg, a lifetime mastering the ratios of oils and toppings, and then pairing it with the ideal noodle texture, or simply opening the package and eating the spicy brick. Mexican food, as it's known by us mentally challenged folks, is when you fry anything and serve it with chipotle mayo on a flour tortilla. I also know the word salsa, which is the Mexican word for homemade ketchup. Italian. There are currently only 3 Italian foods: pasta, pizza, and gelato. We hope that one day science will discover more. Spanish. Spanish food is basically the circus version of other foods. Chorizo is a spicy hot dog. Churro is a deconstructed chocolate donut. Sangria is party wine. Paella is the fried rice jumbo shrimp edition. And gazpacho is what the try-hard kid in your home ec class comes up with when you ask for Mexican ketchup. Greek. When I think of Greek food, I envision small, tasty items baked in a thin pastry and then cut into geometric shapes. Spanakopita, bugatsa, a bunch of things I can't pronounce, and baklava, which are tasty honey nut diamonds. And you might be thinking, excuse me, baklava is actually Turkish, but that doesn't match the thin pastry narrative, so here we are. American. American food is often simply known as food, and it is characterized by extremely large portion sizes, both in the food served to you and in the guy barbecuing it. All American food is meant to be eaten with 2 hands, but true patriots do it with 1 hand. Hot dog, hamburger, rack of ribs, crawfish broil, BLT, turkey leg, lobster po' boy, chicken wings, Philly cheesesteak, Chicago deep dish. If a nice black lady calls you sweetie and you're suddenly wearing Crocs and a bowling shirt, it's definitely American food. Canadian. You've heard of potatoes and gravy, you've heard of cheesy potatoes, but here comes the remix. And that's what we've contributed in the last 150 years. British cuisine is modeled after the food your 8-year-old nephew comes up with when he asks if he can cook you dinner. Black pudding, beans on toast, toast sandwich, toad in the hole, mushy peas, jelly deals, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But he ran out of bread and used clotted cream instead of peanut butter. Luckily for my nephew, he's a member of the Commonwealth. You know I'd do anything for the Queen. German. One of my favorite German foods is a good old lager beer, which they serve in great excess at Oktoberfest, a famous festival that Germany holds every, you guessed it, September. Other classic German foods involve taking delicious classics and turning them into a weird shape. Take for example wide chicken, beef Rollington, and of course, twisty bagel. Chinese. Chinese food actually has no proper name in English, and can only be identified by the number next to it on the menu. Thankfully, Chinese food has thrived in Western countries, despite everyone thinking it was bad to eat MSG and raw pangolin for no reason at all. Indian cuisine is rich in heritage and incredibly diverse. Most Indian restaurants have such expansive menus, it can take minutes to find and order the butter chicken. Another Indian staple is naan, or as Westerners call it, puffy tortilla. To be honest, I don't actually know the difference. Middle Eastern. When I think of Middle Eastern food, I think of shawarma, which I often eat because there are literally no kebab places in my entire city. For those unfamiliar, kebab is the international cuisine of, well, it's 3 a.m. and the clubs are closed. While I'm not sure how authentic it is when someone adds French fries to it, I'm not complaining. There are also other great Middle Eastern bangers like tzatziki and hummus that are best eaten drunk and alone with a spoon. Now you might be saying, excuse me, tzatziki is actually Greek. Alright, buddy, if you think you can claim this one too, then your ego is more inflated than Turkey's currency, so stop bickering or else no one gets tzatziki. Scandinavian, Nordic. Frankly, the only Scandinavian restaurant I've ever heard of is IKEA. And while Swedish meatballs are pretty good, I'm also not so sure about their authenticity. Because if you look at the recipe, it lists beef, pork, breadcrumbs, a couple egg yolks, and you're like, that sounds like a regular meatball. So after that, I wondered, okay, what exactly is Scandinavian food? So I looked it up and found steak with mushrooms, pancakes, and that was pretty sus. So I decided to really dive in. And then I found things like ragmonk and tombarola, which, not gonna lie, I'd eat a hot dog in any form. But if you want to go international, you might want to consider some rebranding. Just imagine, at a United Nations meeting, it's lunchtime, and the Italian guy pulls out a slice of pizza, the German guy pulls out a beer and a pretzel, and the Swedish guy takes out his lunch bag and thinks to himself, they're gonna be so jealous. Eastern European. When I think of Eastern European cuisine, I think of three words: babushka, potatoes, and poverty. And as someone with Irish ancestry, that definitely comes off as a hard flex. Thankfully, instead of grandmas and potatoes, at least I get capitalism and cultural appropriation. Exactly how I like it. Australian. Australian cuisine is the most plain, unremarkable food in the world. Breakfast: Vegemite on white bread. Lunch: sausage on white bread. Dinner: meat pie. Dessert: hundreds and thousands of sprinkles on white bread. They do admittedly have absolutely fantastic fish and chips, because they can walk 100 minutes to the beach, scoop Dory up from the barrier reef, and flash fire right in front of her family that's already forgotten her. I also give a shout out to pavlova, which might possibly be from New Zealand, but my mom makes it, and she likes it when I feature her in the videos. Vietnamese. Vietnamese food can be identified by a restaurant being named after some kind of pun involving the word pho. Pho sure, pho ever, pho true, pho you. But in reality the word is actually pronounced pho, as in pho dead. Guys, I've waited 4 years for that one. Sorry. Latin American. Latin American food is great, because so much of it is fried. Empanada, fried hot pocket. Plantains? No, you fool. It's not a banana, it's a potato in disguise, and you fried this bad boy twice. Regular banana? Also fried. Besides that, the only other Latin American food I know is ayahuasca. I know about ayahuasca for 2 reasons. A, I live on the West Coast, and B, I've listened to Joe Rogan. Korean food. The most well-known Korean foods are kimchi and Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue is usually a buffet-style restaurant where you cook everything yourself on a little tabletop grill, while kimchi is what I call the chairman of North Korea when I pinch his fat little cheeks. Now at this point, you're probably saying, oh no, there's 30 seconds left in the video, and he hasn't mentioned my country. Then try not to get angry. But if you get angry, remember to leave a comment saying, I'm angry. If not, remember to file a complaint with the United Nations. They will probably resolve the issue for you.